If you liked the video, feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by. This is our first Custodes video of our new How to Build series. The How to Beat series is coming, and I better hurry before 10th edition is over. This video is how to build a Shield Host list. We will take a look at how Shield Host plays, the Shield Host rules, top units with some 1,000 points list, 2,000 points list, and one 1,500 point list. When I build a list, I try to select units from the following unit types: primary, utility, and attack. Now these are not keywords we will find on a data sheet. This is my own category of units I use when I build a list. Primary units to pressure objectives and score primary, utility units to score secondary points, as well as add some buffs or abilities to help my other units. Finally, my attack units, the units I will use to attack the enemy's scoring and damage dealing units. These may seem simple, but they can make a difference between a bad list and a good list. Too many attack units and we do not have enough primary units to hold objectives to score, and then we lose the game on points. Not enough utility and we may have a good primary score, but still lose by a lot from no secondary scoring. Each faction and detachment will require a different mix of these units. It's not always a 33% of our total points for each category. For the Adeptus Custodes, we are a very elite army, only being beat by the knights. This means we will not have a lot of units or even models on the board. Learning what each of our units are capable of is very important to the Custodes. We do not want to charge 2 units into a target, overkill it with the first unit, only to have wasted that second unit. Or the opposite, we charge 1 unit in, where 2 would be needed to take out the enemy unit. I know some of the 10,000 do not like to use Psychona units, but I promise you, if you start to include at least 2 units instead of 0, stick with it and you will notice a difference in your points for the better. Being so elite, we really need our units to have dedicated roles with a bit of flexibility. 40 to 50% of my Custodes list will be used on primary units to push and hold objectives. We are an average 6-inch movement army. We will not be threatening the opponent's home objective turn 1. Another 20% of my points will be spent on utility units, while around 30% is on attack units. Attack units are not as high priority for us since all of our Custodes infantry hit very hard in melee. The attack points could be spent on some long range damage or for some fast damage units. How Shield Host plays. The Shield Host Detachment is one of our more popular detachment. It has an easy to use detachment rule with a good range of enhancements and stratagems. The Adeptus Custodes are a melee heavy faction. We do have some good shooting options, but it is our melee that the faction is known for. Our infantry models are not that fast. With an average 6-inch movement, what we lack in speed we gain in overall survivability. Most of our units have a 2-up save with a 4+ invulnerable with at least 3 wounds. Even our battle line has that profile. The rules from the Shield Host Detachment allows us to really lean into the army's strengths. It powers our melee damage through the roof while giving us a few more defensive buffs and other rules, such as a stratagem to give a unit a 4+ fatal pain to mortal wounds or -1 to the enemy hit roll in melee combat. Shield Host is not flashy, but it does not need to be flashy to be good. This is the detachment I would recommend to new players of the faction. I've been playing this faction for a long time and I still like the Shield Host Detachment. Most of our codex units are viable in the Shield Host and it's a great place to start. Now let's go through all the rules for the Shield Host Detachment. We will start with the Adeptus Custodes army rule, Martial Kata. Each time a unit from your army with this ability is selected to fight, select one of the Kata stances. Until that unit is finished making its attacks, the selected stance is active for it and it gains the relevant ability. Dakatari stance, melee weapons gain the Sustain Hits 1 ability. Rendak stance, melee weapons gain the Lethal Hits ability. The army rule makes us very reliable in the fight phase. Our Custodes hit on a 2+. In a perfect world, we take Sustain Hits 1, we roll as many 1s as 6s, making us technically hit every time. This is a dice game though. I have rolled lots of 1s with no 6s, or the opposite, lots of 6s with no 1s. The rule of thumb for this army rule is, if we'll be wounding on a 5+, you want to select Rendak stance for lethal hits. If we'll be wounding on a 4+ or lower, select Dakatari stance for Sustain Hits 1. Asking your opponent what their toughness and save is will really make a difference with the Shield Host Detachment using this army rule. Then we have the Shield Host Detachment rule, Martial Mastery. At the start of the battle round, you can select one of the bullet points below. If you do so, until the start of the next battle round, that bullet point's effect apply. The first one is each Adeptus Custodes with the Martial Kata ability. Melee weapons equipped by that model gain the critical hits on 5 ability. Or we could pick each Adeptus Custodes model with the Martial Kata ability. Melee weapons equipped by that model gain 1 AP. The detachment rule is why we want a lot of strong melee units in a shield host list. We can bring guns to threaten the opponent's anti-tank units. We want a list that takes advantage of the detachment rule. Martial Mastery does open up many different builds for the shield host. For new players starting out, critical hits on 5s is the best option while learning the detachment. 60% of the time, it's the correct choice anyways. Extra AP will matter when we're putting attacks into units without invulnerable saves. The Shield Host Detachment does have 4 different enhancements. Our first enhancement is from the Hall of Armories, Shield Captain model. Add 1 to the strength and damage of the bearer's melee weapon. The next one is Castellan's Mark. Once again, Shield Captain model only. After both players have deployed their armies, you can select up to 2 Adeptus Custodes units from your army, excluding Psychona units, and redeploy all of those units. When doing so, any of those units can be placed into strategic reserves, regardless of how many units already in strategic reserves. From the Hall of Armories, I like this enhancement. It has to be used on a Shield Captain model only. I do like to use it with the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle, bringing that lance up to Strength 8, Damage 3. The Castellan's Mark, I did not want to focus on the points since they can change, but for 20 points, this is not worth it. If it was before the first turn roll, awesome. Sadly, after the first turn roll, we have such an elite army, we do not really need a redeploy like Castellan's Mark. The next 2 enhancements, Auric Mantle, Shield Captain or Blade Champion model, add 2 to the Bear's Wound characteristic. The last one and my favorite enhancement is Panoptic Specs. Shield Captain or Blade Champion model, while the Bearer is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Ignores Cover ability. Auric Mantle, 2 extra wounds on Adeptus Custodes character is a strong buff. And Alara Shield Captain goes from 7 wounds to 9 wounds, or the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle from 8 wounds to 10 wounds. Panoptic Specs, depending on the unit the character is being attached to, this can be very deadly. The Alara Shield Captain attached to an Alaris Brick or a Bike Captain with some Virtus Praetors. Currently only 5 points, this can really go on any character if we do have 5 points left over. Ignores Cover on our ranged weapons is very handy since most of our ranged weapons is only AP1 without Ignores Cover. Next, let's take a look at the 6 different stratagems for the Shield Host Detachment. Our first one is Arcane Genetic Alchemy for 1 CP. Any phase just after mortal wounds have been allocated to an Adeptus Custodes model from your army, excluding Psychona models. Until the end of the phase, models in that unit have a 4+ Funeral Pain against mortal wounds. Arcane Genetic Alchemy is a very strong stratagem. The power comes from being able to wait until the mortal wounds have been allocated. This means we do not need to use this before someone uses the Grenade stratagem or the Tank Shock stratagem. We can wait to see the dice roll. 2 mortal wounds, save the CP. The max of 6 mortal wounds, we want to use Arcane Genetic Alchemy to get that 4-up Funeral Pain to those mortals. Our opponents will try to bait this stratagem out of us, ask what enemy units who can do mortal wounds, keep a mental note, and save Arcane Genetic Alchemy for those high volume mortal wounds. Next we have Archaeotech Munitions for 1 CP. In your shooting phase, select either lethal hits or sustained hits 1. Until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in your unit have that selected ability. The first thing to notice about this stratagem is that it is not infantry locked. The only restriction is excluding Psychona units, which is a theme of this detachment. Not much support for our Psychona units. That means we can use this stratagem to give our jet bikes or vehicles sustained hits 1 or lethal hits. On some units, this is not worth the 1 CP. Some units, this is amazing. One of the few shooting buffs in the Shield Host Detachment. Depending on our list, this could be used almost every turn or not at all. Next is Avenge the Fallen for 1 CP, and this is probably my least used stratagem. At the start of the fight phase, 1 Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that is below starting strength. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in your unit. If your unit is below half strength until the end of the phase, add 2 to the characteristic of those melee weapons instead. This does classify as an attack stratagem, but I really do not like this stratagem. +1 attack under starting strength on a Custodes unit is not worth the CP. Most units are capped at 5 models. Lose 1 model, that gets the unit an extra 4 attacks for 1 CP. Not the best use of 1 CP. I could see this being used on a unit with a Blade Champion or Trajan that is below half strength to get that extra 2 attacks with those characters. Even that will be situational. Maybe to win the game or a big point swing, we might want to use Avenge the Fallen. Other than that, I feel it is a waste of CP. Our next stratagem is multi-potentiality for 1 CP. In your movement phase, 1 Adeptus Custodes unit from your army that has fell back this phase. Until the end of your turn, that unit is eligible to shoot and declare charge in a turn in which it fell back. Fallback, shoot and charge is fantastic for a melee heavy army. It makes it very hard to tie up key units or even cause the opponent to not even bother charging a Custodes unit. Fallback and shoot part of the stratagem will either have no real threat or pick up a unit with the shooting before we charge to kill another. It really depends on the list. If we do have a lot of Virtus Praetors in the list, it makes the shooting quite a bit better. The Alaris Terminators and the Virtus Praetors have good shooting, a list full of Wardens not so much. Then we have Unwavering Sentinels for 1 CP in the fight phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Adeptus Custodes unit from your army, excluding Psychona units, that is within range of an objective marker you control. Each time a melee attack targets your unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. This can be very powerful depending on who we are facing. A list with a bunch of reroll hits all over their army, -1 to the hit is not so strong. Against some list, -1 to the hit roll in combat can cripple the opponent's damage. Combine this with units like the Custodian Wardens, it can be a strong stratagem. The downside is we have to be on objective we control to use Unwavering Sentinels. I would rather this just be -1 to the hit roll of incoming melee attacks without the restriction of having to be on objective we control, but we can't have everything though. Our last stratagem is Vigilance Eternal for 1 CP, used in your movement phase. 1 Adeptus Custodes battle line unit from your army within range of an objective marker you control. That objective marker remains under your control even if you have no models within range of it until your opponent controls it at the start or end of any turn. This is a great stratagem for a small unit count elite army. We can sticky the objective and then push the unit further into the enemy lines. The problem with this stratagem is we need a battle line unit to use it. Our only battle line unit in our entire army is the Custodian Guard. Luckily, the Custodian Guard are a great unit in the Shield Host Detachment. We have a unit combination of Inquisitor Draxus with the Custodian Guard that is almost auto-include in a Shield Host list. That gives us at least 1 unit who can use this stratagem to sticky objectives. And that's our army rule, Shield Host Detachment rule with our 4 enhancements and our 6 stratagems. Here are some of the better primary units for the Shield Host Detachment. First, we have the Custodian Wardens. These are the best of the best when it comes down to holding primary. They have the normal toughness 6, 3 wounds, 2 up save with 4 up invulnerable Custodes infantry profile. Their 2 datasheet abilities give them even more survivability. A once per game 4+ Funeral Pain for any phase, on top of an all game -1 to the wound roll of incoming attacks if their strength is higher than the Warden's toughness 6. Still very deadly in this detachment with their Guardian Spears. 5 attacks, hitting on a 2+, strength 7, AP 2, damage 2. The army rule gives them sustain hits 1 or lethal hits. Throw the critical hits on 5+ from martial mastery. Now these are hard to kill while blending most things in the game in melee combat. Next up is the Custodian Guard, our one and only battle line unit in the codex. Prosecutors can be battle line in the Null Maiden Vigil detachment. Other than that, it's only Custodian Guard. And even though they are a battle line, these are top of the line units. 3 wounds, 4 if we do take the Presidium Shield, toughness 6 with a 2 up save and 4+ invulnerable. These are not your average battle line units. We do have a sticky objective stratagem in this detachment. In order to use it, we do need a battle line unit, which is the reason I like to have at least 1 unit of Custodian Guard in my Shield Host list. They have an ability to shoot twice once per game, as well as reroll the wound roll of 1 or the wound roll if on objective we control. that is with melee or ranged attacks. They are very viable in this detachment for gaining points and doing damage. Next, the Prosecutors. Yes, the Humble Prosecutors unit is in my primary units. Currently, as of May 2025, these are 40 points for a 4-model unit. Our next best is a Witchseeker Vigilator 4-model unit for 50 points. One to stand on our home objective all game or stand on our expansion objective. Yes, they can be taken out much easier than a Custodian Guard or Warden's unit. They are, however, much cheaper. Some games, yes, we will need more than a Prosecutor unit to hold our home objective. Other games, 40 points is all we need to hold our home objective. Don't waste a 200-point unit staying at home while a Prosecutor unit can do the same job. On to our secondary utility units. Our first unit is the Witchseekers. The Witchseekers are my favorite Psychona unit. Even though there is no real rules to support the Psychona units in the Shield Host, I still want at least one Witchseeker in my list. They have a 6-inch scout move that really helps our overall scoring in different ways. Scout 6 inches towards the center or towards our expansion objective. This way, in our turn, we can easily grab our expansion objective. And if you're wondering what the expansion objective means, that's just a term for the objective that's closest to your deployment and that's easiest to get. In most of these deployments, there's going to be an objective right outside our deployment that is a lot easier to get than the center, so we want to grab a nice easy objective turn 1, and that's usually the expansion objective. We scout 6 inches, we draw area denial, or another secondary that we need a unit in the center of the board for. A cheap Witchseeker unit is perfect for scoring those points. We do not want to put a big expensive Custodes unit in the center turn 1. We're tough, but we're not that tough. Next up is a 2-model Alaris unit. The smaller units of Alaris make great units for secondary points. Even 2 of these is not a cheap unit though, 130 points as of May 2025. We would put a unit or 2 of these into strategic reserves and then deep strike them down to complete secondaries like behind enemy lines, establish locust, or sabotage. They can use their Golden Light ability at the end of the opponent's turn to do that all over again. Use Golden Light at the end of the opponent's turn, return this unit to reserves, and then you can rapid ingress it, deep strike it, do other things to get more secondary points if able. In the Shield Host Detachment, a unit of 2 Alaris is still a threat to most 5-man units in the game, even some of those 10-model units. We also want to run Guardian Spears in this unit, even though with the axes we can get them up to AP2 in this detachment. A lot of the times, you just want to run the spears. I did want to mention the Imperial Assassins. The Codex Assassin is the best assassin we could take for secondary scoring. The others are more damage oriented but lack the same utility. There are 2 things that give the Codex the edge. First, she does have a 12-inch aura of +1 CP to enemy stratagems, and second, she does have a return to reserves at the end of the opponent's turn ability. In the Warhammer community, we like to call these uppy-downy moves. She has the lone operative ability to combine with those 2 other abilities. Currently at 100 points, she can be a bit pricey and she does die to a stiff breeze. If played right though, she can cripple the opponent's CP management and score us buckets of points. Last up we have our attack units. First for the attack units we have the Alaris Custodians, and this would be our bigger units of Alaris. This is my personal favorite Custodes infantry model. No matter the detachment, I just love the look of this model. It performs great in the Shield Host Detachment. The Alaris are one, if not the most deadly melee units we have. It is a shame they still seem a bit too expensive. We don't really use a lot of these unless we're playing Lines of the Emperor or the Shield Host Detachment. The Slayer of Tyrants ability allows them to reroll their wound roll into character, monster, or vehicle units. I prefer the Guardian Spears with the 5 attacks, Strength 7, AP2, Damage 2, and with the Martial Mastery Detachment rule, we can either have crits on 5s or bring these up to AP3. With the Golden Light ability, we can return this unit to reserves at the end of the opponent's turn. These are great for bringing down from reserves, taking out a unit, then at the end of the opponent's next turn, we can pick them up to do it all over again. A great tool for when the opponent is pressuring your home objective, you can bring these down, take care of that threat, and then return them into reserves. They're not stuck down by our deployment all game. Toughness 7, 4 wounds, 2-up save, and a 4+ invulnerable each. They are not an easy model to kill. They are an expensive unit, but a unit of 5 of these in melee combat will pretty much take out anything in the game with the Shield Host Detachment. Next up is the Virtus Praetors. This is one, if not the best detachment for the Virtus Praetors. a fallback and charge stratagem, a 4+ funeral pain to mortals, and a stratagem to have sustained hits 1 or lethal hits on their ranged weapons. They have lance on their melee weapon for +1 to the wound roll when they charge. You could have sustained hits 1, critical hits on 5s with +1 to the wound when you charge. These things can hit like a truck in this detachment. Toughness 7, 5 wounds each with a 2+ save and a 4+ invulnerable. These are great for the attack unit slot. Next is the Venatari. The Venatari are another fantastic unit for the Shield Host Detachment. They have the Lance ability on their melee weapons as well. The Army rule and the Shield Host Detachment rule boost their damage like the Virtus Praetors. The Venatari do not have the same shooting potential as the Virtus Praetors. They do offer a lot more utility to go with the attack roll. 2 great abilities, Strike from the Skies for a built-in fallback shoot and charge, and Swooping Dive to give them a free rapid ingress. Last up for the attack units is the Caladius Grab Tank. The Caladius Grab Tank is the Custodes tank we can get from the Forge World. There are proxy models out there. This is a hard tank to find and an expensive tank to find. It is an amazing looking tank with an even better profile. The Venerable Land Raider is our codex tank. This is the Custodes tank. We can use the Land Raider for some anti-tank. They just don't really stack up to how reliable these grab tanks are. Lethal hits into vehicle monsters with twin linked is what makes these so much better than the Land Raider or even Canis Rex at long range anti-tank shooting. The fact that you're hitting on 2s, have lethal hits, and then your strength 12 with twin links. There's just a lot of reliability in this tank profile. Let's take a look at some of the top characters and units for the Shield Host Detachment. Number 1 is the Blade Champion with the Wardens and possibly the Custodian Guard. The Blade Champion is the best character we can attach these units to in this detachment. The Blade Champion is in auto-include territory when we're taking a unit of Wardens. The Wardens do need a character attached to gain that -1 to the wound roll ability. The Blade Champion gives the unit a once per game advance and charge, as well as reroll charges all game. It also has one of our only AP3 damage 3 weapon profiles with devastating wounds on a roll of a 6. There's a lot of potential with the Blade Champion, with the Wardens or the Custodian Guard. Next is the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with some Virtus Praetors. And this is another great character unit. The Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle can also be ran as a good solo character to fly around, be annoying, do secondary actions, and take out the opponent's chaff units. A good target for that Panoptus Specs enhancement to have the whole unit ignoring cover when they shoot. The Hurricane Bolters and the Salvo Launchers will love having ignore cover, especially those AP1 Hurricane Bolters. The Shield Captain has one of the best movement abilities in the game, Sweeping Advance, where at the end of the fight phase, if this unit has fought and still in engagement range, it can make a fallback move, or if this unit has fought and is not within engagement range anymore, you can make a normal move. Which means if you did have some Virtus Praetors, you could do a normal move over an enemy unit, then bomb them with some quick silver execution mortal wounds. There's a lot of things we can do with Sweeping Advance. They have Lance on their melee weapons. Pair that with sustained hits 1 or lethal hits with critical hits on 5s. These are deadly. We also have Valerian with Wardens or Custodian Guard. Valerian is a good and cheaper option to a Blade Champion. And why not our Captain General Trajan? Sadly, he does not buff his unit enough to warrant him being a top unit in the Shield Host Detachment. We do have some other detachments where he is much better though. Valerian has 2 abilities that make taking out his unit much harder in melee. One is a once per game ability where he can turn a failed roll into a 6. The other can be broken good against some enemies, -1 to the AP of incoming attacks in the combat phase. If the enemy charges Valerian's unit, they only have AP1 on their melee weapons, that'll turn into AP0, so we'll be saving on 2s. It is very hard to take out Valerian with Wardens if you only have low AP weapons. He makes Wardens awful to engage in melee combat with. The Custodian Guard are no fun either. The last unit, and one of my favorite units, is the Inquisitor Draxus with Custodian Guard. This is a fantastic unit. It is the Custodian Guard that powers up Draxus, not Draxus powers the unit. She has 4 shots of her anti-infantry 4, devastating wounds, 2 damage gun, Dirge Singer. She also has her Psychic Tempest attack, 6 attacks, sustain hits 2, strength 6, AP0, damage 2. She can give the unit the lone operative within 18 inches ability, great for when we use her as a home objective holder or to lurk in our back lines. She also gets the Custodes Karate since martial kata is unit based, not model based, unlike our detachment rule, which is model based, needing the martial kata ability on each model to get crits on 5s or the extra AP1. So she does get karate, she just doesn't get super karate. Let's look at some Shield Host list examples. We will also break down these units into their unit types. We will start with 1000 points list. Our first Shield Host list is an infantry based list. It comes to 995 points. Our Warlord is a Blade Champion with that Orc Mantle enhancement. Our other characters, we do have another Blade Champion with the Panoptus Specs enhancement. Battle line, a unit of 4 Custodian Guard, 3 Spears, and 1 Vexilla. For our other data sheets, we do have 2 units of 4 Custodian Wardens to join up with those Blade Champions. A unit of 4 Witch Seekers, and finally, Inquisitor Draxus to join up with that Custodian Guard unit. With these smaller 1000 points games, some of these units do have to double duty in some of these unit categories. For our primary/attack units, we do have our 2 Blade Champion with Wardens units. Utility/attack, we do have Inquisitor Draxus with the 4 Custodian Guard. Finally, for our dedicated utility, a Witch Seeker unit. Next 1000 points list is the Need for Speed list. It comes to 1000 points. Our Warlord is a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike with the Panoptus Specs enhancement and the Hurricane Bolter. For the other characters, we do have a Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jetbike, no enhancement, and a Hurricane Bolter as well. Battle line is 4 Custodian Guard, 3 Guardian Spears with the 1 Vexilla. Our other data sheets is 2 units of 2 Virtus Praetors with the Hurricane Bolters to join up with those Shield Captains, 2 units of 4 Prosecutors, and a unit of 4 Witch Seekers. Allied unit is Inquisitor Draxus to join up with that Custodian Guard unit. For this list, our primary/attack is our 2 Shield Captains with our Virtus Praetors. Utility and attack is Inquisitor Draxus with the 4 Custodian Guard. Just for utility, we have our Witch Seekers and our 2 Prosecutor units. Last up for our 1000 points list, we do have our tank list. Our Warlord is a Blade Champion, no other Custodian characters. Battle line is 2 units of 4 Custodian Guard, 3 Spears, 1 Vexilla Misericordia and Shield. For our other data sheets, we do have a Caladius Grav Tank, a unit of 2 Alaris Terminators with the Guardian Spears, and 2 units of 4 Witch Seekers. For our allied unit, we do have Inquisitor Draxus to join up with one of those Custodian Guard. So the Blade Champion is going to be with the Custodian Guard, and Inquisitor Draxus is going to be with the Custodian Guard. The unit categories for this list are primary/attack is the Blade Champion and Custodian Guard, Inquisitor Draxus, and the Custodian Guard. Because remember, for these 1000 points list, we kind of have to double up on our unit categories. We just do not have enough units to do primary, attack, and utility. We kind of have to double up, but still, we can make it work. For our utility and attack, we do have the Caladius Grav Tank and the Alaris. Our dedicated utility is our 2 units of 4 Witch Seekers. Those are 3 example lists for the Shield Host. They're not set in stone, something you can play around with. You can change them if you want, or try them out how they are and see how you like it. Let's move on to some 1500 point lists, and then finally our big 2000 point lists. It looks like I actually do have 2 lists for 1500 points. Our first 1500 points list is a infantry list. Our Warlord is Valerian. For our other characters, we do have 2 Blade Champions with no enhancements. For a battle line, 2 units of 4 Custodian Guard, 3 Spears with 1 Vexilla and Misericordia. For our other data sheets, we do have a unit of 3 Alaris Terminators with the Guardian Spears, a unit of 5 Custodian Wardens to join up with Valerian, and another unit of 4 Custodian Wardens. One of those will join the Blade Champion. Finally, we do have a unit of 4 Witch Seekers. For our allied unit, we did bring Inquisitor Draxus to join up with that last unit of Custodian Guard. For this list, the primary units, we do have the Blade Champion with the Wardens, Valerian with the Wardens, and Inquisitor Draxus with the Custodian Guard. For our attack units, we have the Alaris, the Blade Champion, and the Custodian Guard unit. For the secondary and utility units, we have the Witch Seekers, along with the Alaris. They can do some secondary utility and scoring. Our second 1500 points is a tank list. Our Warlord, once again, is a Blade Champion. This time he does have the Panoptus Specs enhancement. Then we do have another Blade Champion with no enhancements. Battle line is 4 Custodian Guard, 3 Spears, 1 Vexilla, and the Misericordia. Our other data sheets, we do have 2 Caladius Grav Tanks with the Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannon, a unit of 5 Custodian Wardens, and a unit of 4 Custodian Wardens, and those will join up with our Blade Champions. A unit of 4 Prosecutors, 4 Witch Seekers. Finally, for the allied unit, we do have Inquisitor Draxus to join up with that Custodian Guard unit. Primary units for this list, the Blade Champion and Wardens, Inquisitor Draxus with Custodian Guard, and our Blade Champion with Wardens. For this list, they can also be attack as well. They can be primary and attack. The dedicated attack units are the 2 Caladius Grav Tanks, secondary, Prosecutors, and the Witch Seekers. Now for some Shield Host 2000 points. We'll start with an infantry list. Our Warlord is a Blade Champion with the Panoptic Specs Enhancement. We do have 2 other Blade Champions in the list. One of them has the Auric Mantle Enhancement. For our battle line, we do have a unit of 5 Custodian Guard, 3 Spears, 1 Sword and Board, and 1 Vexilla. For our other datasheets, we do have 2 units of 3 Alaris Custodians, 3 units of 5 Custodian Wardens, 2 units of 4 Witch Seekers, and a unit of 4 Prosecutors. For our ally unit, we do have Inquisitor Draxus to join up with those Custodian Guard. For our primary units, we do have the 3 Blade Champions with the Wardens. Our attack units are the 2 units of Alaris Terminators with Inquisitor Draxus and the Custodian Guard. For our utility and secondary, we do have the 2 units of Witch Seekers and the unit of Prosecutors. Our next 2000 points list is the Need for Speed list. Our Warlord is the Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jet Bike with the From Hall of Armories Enhancement. I have a Hurricane Bolter equipped to the Shield Captain. For other characters, we do have another Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jet Bike with the Panoptic Specs Enhancement with a Hurricane Bolter as well. Our last character is a Blade Champion with no enhancements. For the battle line, a unit of 5 Custodian Guard, 4 Spears and 1 Vexilla, and a unit of 4 Custodian Guard with 3 Spears and 1 Vexilla. For other datasheets, we do have a unit of 3 Venatari with the Venatari Lances, a unit of 6 Venatari with 5 Lances, and 1 Kinetic Destroyer with the Tarsus Buckler. And that's just to give 1 extra wound to one of these Venatari, just to soak up some damage or some overwatch. 2 units of 2 Virtus Praetors with the Hurricane Bolters to join up with my Shield Captains. A unit of 3 Virtus Praetors with their Hurricane Bolters, and finally a unit of 4 Witch Seekers. Ally unit is Inquisitor Draxus to join up with the 4 Custodian Guard. The 5 Custodian Guard will join up with the Blade Champion. For the unit types, our primary units, we do have the Blade Champion and the Custodian Guard, Inquisitor Draxus and the Custodian Guard, along with one of those Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle Jet Bikes with the Virtus Praetors. Our attack units, we do have the other Shield Captain on Dawn Eagle with the Virtus Praetors, and then the 6 Venatari. Our utility and secondary, the 3 Venatari, the Witch Seekers, and the unit of 3 Virtus Praetors. Our final Shield Host list is a tank list, and this comes to 2,000 points. Our Warlord is Valerian. We do have 2 other Blade Champions in the list, no enhancements. A unit of 5 Custodian Guard, 4 Spears, and 1 Vexilla. For other datasheets, we do have 2 Caladius Grav Tanks with the Arachnus Heavy Blaze Cannon, 3 units of 5 Custodian Wardens, all with Spears and a Vexilla, a unit of 4 Witch Seekers, 2 units of 4 Prosecutors. Allied units, we do have Inquisitor Draxus to join up with that Custodian Guard. The primary units for this list, we do have Valerian with the Wardens, Blade Champion with the Wardens, and Draxus with her Custodian Guard. The attack units are our 2 Caladius Grav Tanks and the 2nd Blade Champion and Wardens unit. Our utility and secondary, the 2 units of Prosecutors and the unit of 4 Witch Seekers. That's all the Shield Host list. Let's move on to some final thoughts. This was a big one. I have a feeling this might be the longest video yet. I hope this was useful for my fellow Golden Warriors. Was this too long, just right, or even too short? I will be releasing a how to build video for each detachment. I want these to be great guides for newer players. Which detachment would you like to see next? Subscribe for weekly battle reports, list videos, and other Warhammer 40K content. Like always, thanks for watching, thanks for stopping by.